Why are bears so amazing? That's what we're going to talk about today. Hi, this is Jill from the North Woods, talking about nature right outside your front door. Well, maybe you don't live in bear country, but bears are outside the front door of many people in the United States and many people around the world. I love bears. I grew up in a place where black bears were quite common, and you would see them from time to time. And where I live right now, there are not many, but there are some black bears that still exist. But there's many different kinds of bears. And one of the reasons I just loved them is they're wrapped in this fur. They love to, gently graze on berries, but they can run faster than a bicycle. They can leave a big footprint in the world of human existence. And I really enjoy what bears are bringing to our world. I love seeing bears. There are 8 living species, all in the family of Ursidae. Think of Ursa Major, that's the bear constellation, Ursidae. And despite different habitats, some are tropical forests, some are polar ice, they share a basic body plan. The idea is they have what's called plantigrade feet, which means they're flat-footed like human beings are. They have massive shoulder muscles for digging and tearing into things. They have skulls that are built for versatility as compared to specialization. And that versatility is the secret to bears' success. Bears are not optimized for one kind of food. They are optimized for opportunity. And so their diet is one of opportunists. Basically, people picture bears as mainly carnivorous, but ecologically, they are strategic. They both have a sweet tooth. They love to eat berries and fruit. The calories are what really rule their lives more than anything else. In a region, 80% of a bear's diet can be plant material, berries, roots, nuts, grasses. Meats show up when it's efficient and it's easy for them to take out and kill. The winter kill animals, think about like salmon that run at a particular time, insect larvae that you might find inside of a root of a branch of a tree, an unlucky animal that just strayed in the wrong direction. That's the idea, that they will eat what they can. They will eat what is abundant at that moment and then return to schedule whenever they find something else. They're just not wandering around randomly. They do have a mental calendar tied to what is available when. Hibernation, too, is a big part of bears, but when we think about bears and hibernation, we think they crawl into a cave and then they sleep all winter long and then they come out in spring. And there have been many people on YouTube who misunderstood this, walked into a bear cave, did a selfie with the bear cave, only to have the bear wake up. Their heart rates drop dramatically, but they don't truly shut down like a lot of the smaller mammals do. They don't eat, drink, urinate, maybe for months. They don't lose bone density or muscle mass in the same way inactive humans do, but they recycle nitrogen internally. Medical researchers study bears because they solve a problem that we don't know how to solve for human beings yet. How do we stop things like osteoporosis, kidney failure, muscle wasting? And, you get people who are bedridden. How do we stop the bad side effects from that? Bears have figured that out, and we do not have that method in place. A pregnant female will give birth during hibernation. The tiny cubs nurse and sleep next to mom during the hibernation months. This is something that helps protect the baby bears. It's important to know that it's actually the brain and not the brawn of the bear that keeps a bear alive. We think of bears as these big, massive creatures that use their bulk to sort of threaten everything around them. But bears are intelligent. They're curious. They're good problem solvers. And that's why food conditioning is such a danger, where they talk about, like, don't feed the bears, outside your cabin. They will get used to you being there and they will start not going into their normal food finding patterns. It is dangerous for a bear. Once a bear learns that humans are an easy source of calories, that relationship usually ends pretty badly for both the human and the bear. In the wild, their intelligence helps them exploit seasonal windows. in the human space, it gets them into trouble with us, and then bad things happen. So bears are really great ecosystem engineers. They shape this landscape in a really subtle way. They're digging for roots, helps aerate the soil. They're spreading seeds around through their poop, their scat, as they eat things, and then it helps regenerate the forest. In salmon country, where you'll see like the Alaska bears, they will look for fish, drag what's left of the fish into the woods, and moving marine nutrients inland helps the trees grow along with other plants too. So it's a remarkable way of enriching the soil with nitrogen that comes from ocean-based fish. So it's not really like poetic thing. It is just how the bear operates, interoperatively with the forest around them. Statistically, bears like to generally avoid people. Attacks are rare, but they do happen. And, I go camping up in the North Woods, sleep in a tent, and you get the idea. I've been in places where bears have walked outside my tent before, and the bear is looking for food. And this is why it's important that when you do go camping in places where there are bears, that food is locked up in the car. If you don't have a car, they're locked up in what they call like bear containers. These are containers that bears can't sniff food inside of it, and they can't get into. And so that makes the bear more dangerous when they smell food. So if you're sitting there eating candy bars in your tent, the bear could get attracted to that, and that just increases the chance of having an unfortunate bear interaction that you have. But people do get scared of bears just because they are so large, and they do attack with a big threat. I was just watching, it was a bear that was in China, and it was probably a third of the height of the human being who was cleaning up the area for the bear. The bear came running super fast and then tackled the human. So it can be dangerous, and it took 4 other people to run in there and get the bear off of the zookeeper. So bears are a threat. They can be threatening to us, but there are ways that we can behave in a way that reduces that threat and makes it less likely. Also, you never run from a bear. The bear can run faster, can climb faster, can swim faster, and the chances are that a bear will overtake you if you do any of these things. So oftentimes it's humans misjudging the situation that actually causes an increase of risk as compared to just bears themselves. So during the Ice Age, America had a lot of different bears. There was something called a short-faced bear, and it was a very large land carnivorous mammal. It was the largest that ever walked in this area, and so it was a very large bear. But most bears themselves are modest in our time. They're basically particularly black bears. They don't want to interact with human beings. You make a little noise, you bang some pans around, they'll run and try to avoid a confrontation with you. The only time that is really not true is if they are in a situation where they're very hungry, and they will be more likely to attack if their food is not available like they want to do. Bears, in culture are really important. They sort of represent, people represent them as motherhood, mama bear, wilderness. They are the kind of that edge between humans and wilderness. In the United States itself, we have a couple of different bears. There's basically 3 species that are naturally occurring within the border and part of the bear family, although there's edges where they're at. The black bear, the American black bear, is the one that's the most known. It's the one that's in my neck of the woods. They are widespread. They're common. They will get on bird feeders here. They'll eat food out of your trash cans in your backyard. They have a very black coat. It sometimes can be a little bit more brown or cinnamon, maybe even sometimes blonde. They live throughout much of the country, everywhere from Appalachia to the North Woods, Rockies, Pacific Northwest, and even the Southwest. They are excellent climbers. They escape danger by going up usually and not going away. Cubs learn very early why tree climbing is the most important way to get away safely. The brown bear is bigger. It is found only in Alaska, and it's one of the rare spillovers of population near the Canadian border in northwest Montana. And there's two basically forms of the brown bear. The one is called the grizzly bear, and those are going to be the inland bears. They are usually smaller. They have a hump. There's grizzly bears. They usually have a pronounced hump on their back, grizzled with silver-tipped fur. And then there's something called a Kodiak bear, which is in parts of Alaska, and it is the largest bear on Earth. It's important to know that grizzly and Kodiaks are not separate species. They're regional expressions of the same shape of animal. It's based on food and availability and isolation. Then there's polar bears, and those occur in northernmost Alaska. They can be seen along various seas, and they are considered to be marine mammals in the biggest context. They live most of their lives revolved around sea ice. They are the largest land carnivore alive today and the most specialized bear of all. But they are mostly hunting seals. And the polar bears can hybridize and produce what is called a pizzly bear. But that overlap is more common as these bears kind of get in contact with each other. So they're important. Polar bears are actually one of the most dangerous bears out there. So if you come across a brown bear or a black bear, you bang your pans, you sing loud. They always say that if you're hiking in the woods, sing a song loudly, and it'll, chances are, be enough to scare the bear away. My friend and I were hiking in Rocky Mountain National Park, and all of a sudden I look down and I see bear poop, and bear poop is very distinctive. It has bits and pieces of berries, and it's quite large. And so I went up to my friends who are not from the Northwoods and not as outdoorsy, and I said, do you know what to do if you were to see a bear? And then we went over some of the rules, that you sing a song, sing it really loud, sing out strong, Karen Carpenter, sing whatever song you want, but start singing, talking, and that's the best way to keep black bears away. They really don't like interactions with human beings, although there sometimes happens. The brown bears, whether they're in grizzly or Kodiak form, are a lot more dangerous. And a lot of times people will pretend to be dead when they see one, play dead, because you can't outrun it and you can't outclimb it. They are certainly much more of a danger. But they talk about polar bears, that if you encounter a polar bear in the wild, there's a very strong chance that you won't walk out of that confrontation alive, no matter what you do. Polar bears, while amazing to look at, are pretty dangerous when it comes to bears in general. There's other parts of the world that have bears. Think about the giant panda bears in China, the Asian black bear, the sun bears, which had a controversy a while ago. There were some sun bears that were in China, and it looked like a man in ill-fitting clothes, and it turned out that that's the way sun bears look. They stand up on their two legs, and it looks like a human in a suit, but it was actually really a bear. I got to see sloth bears when I was in India, the Himalayan sloth bear, so that was kind of cool too. And then there's the spectacle bears that are in South America. So it's really nice that, a lot of places have bears. Like I said, you think about black bears as being in the forest. You think of brown bears being in mountains and wild rivers, and then the sea ice where you see the polar bears. But those three kinds of bears are pretty amazing. Now, this is something that I got wrong in the past, is that raccoons are not bears. They're bear cousins. So they belong to an entirely different family, but they do have some characteristics that made a lot of people feel that they were little mini bears. And they're both carnivores. They both eat everything. They both have that flat feet, a cousin of bears, but that branch split off a long time ago. So I hope that helps you understand bears a little bit more. It would be great. Like I said, I've seen bears in nature before. In fact, the last time I was at Rocky Mountain National Park, this lady ran up to me and my friends as we were hiking, and she said, "Did you just see that bear?" And we were like, "No, what bear?" She goes, "You guys just walked right by it." And I'm like, "Oh, usually I'm better at observation than that." But they are around. You can find them around, and they do rummage around in the forest. And you do have to take precautions if you're camping outside or you're staying at a cabin. When I was at Rocky Mountain National Park, we were staying at a cabin, and they had specially locked garbage bins so that the bears couldn't get in. I also happen to have a bear food canister in case I'm in a place where I need to keep food stored away so bears can't get to it. So I appreciate you watching. If you have anything that you want to say to me, you can comment right here. You can email me at jill@startwithsmallsteps.com. And you can also go to jillfromthenorthwoods.com website, and it has all the podcasts I do, YouTube videos, and how you can contact me. Thanks so much and have a great day.